Nick Spencer and Matthew Rosenberg returned to Sin Eater's portion of the Last Remains storyline in a homage-filled issue that included some larger story twists that no doubt change everything about Kindred's story and his relationship with Peter Parker and Norman Osborn. Spencer and Rosenberg delivered probably the most reference-heavy issue of the series so far, going so far as to redo infamous pages from the Spectacular Spider-Man issue 200, where Harry kidnaps MJ and takes her up to the bridge where Gwen was killed. I got a huge smile on my face seeing those pages again after all these years, and I thoroughly enjoyed how it tied deeply into MJ's side of the plot, which wasn't all that much this issue since we focused on Sin Eater, who is defeated by his own sin of greed. A nice little piece of poetic justice there by Nick Spencer. The Spider family also now getting fully involved in the main plot is so good, as well as, again, Spencer and Rosenberg weave all of these B-plots that they have been running through these tie-ins and make them all matter, and in the Spider family's case, actually make them the reason Sin Eater, who was quite a big villain for Peter early on in the story, is defeated. It's all just kind of a masterclass of balancing multiple arcs and paying them off. Federico Vincentini and Takashi Miyazawa returned this issue, and boy do they return in a big way. Their art throughout this issue was so lovingly crafted and fast-paced, with the action taking over the story. I love the high-resolution pages from the Spectacular Spider-Man issue 200 used at the beginning of the issue, and how it tied into MJ's part of the story, particularly the cutback from her living lives when it was a little less complicated back in the 70s to this jaded woman she's become now, all thanks to all this stuff that goes on in Peter's life and her life and Harry's life. It all comes back to them. The only problem is that Sao Buscema, the original artist on issue 200, isn't credited anywhere in the book, which I really don't think is right, considering this isn't a recreation of the pages. An artist isn't carefully recreating these pages. This is literally his work, just in high res. Other than that little caveat, I thought the art in this issue was really quite fantastic. It elevated the story even more, if that is even possible. The Amazing Spider-Man issue 54.LR was a fantastic final tie-in to the Last Remains story before the big final issue. It wrapped up a lot of side stories and tied them back into the main plot, which itself has had some awesome developments and reveals that has me really excited for the final issue. I'm going to give this issue a 9.5 out of 10. The Amazing Spider-Man issue 54.LR finds the Green Goblin taking a struggling Mary Jane to the place where Gwen Stacy died, landing his glider on the top of the bridge. Goblin hopes that she understands why he brought her there, and Mary Jane says that she knows, wanting him to know that she won't be begging or pleading for her life, since the villain won't get that satisfaction when he kills her. Goblin, however, doesn't want to kill her, removing his mask to reveal it's Harry Osborn, who says that he would never hurt her, since she is his friend and he loves her. He tells her that he wouldn't dream of throwing her from the bridge, not meaning to scare her, but the woman is angered he took her there. The man sits, saying that he just misses Gwen so much, and after all these years he still can't believe that she's really dead and his own father was involved. MJ says that Norman wasn't involved, he directly killed Gwen Stacy. Enraged, Harry says that he didn't and it was all set up by Spider-Man. MJ wants to know why she was brought to the bridge, and Harry says that it was to let MJ know that what happened to Gwen will never happen to her, and he just wants to remember what it was all like in the good old days with the friends, where the only thing on their minds was how much fun they could squeeze into the day and which disco they were going to go to next. He remembers being so young and innocent, but MJ doesn't know that since they all had their own pain and they tried to hide it, with her dysfunctional family, Peter being an orphan whose uncle was murdered, and Harry whose mother died and his father became insane. Harry again is enraged she mentioned his father, but quickly stops himself, telling her no matter what happens between Goblin and Spider-Man, MJ will be safe since he loves her and Peter's aunt, and he will never hurt them. MJ wants the man to just take her home, as in the present, MJ is taken to the cemetery by Norman, who tells her that it's time. She wonders how he knows this is the place, learning it's the Osborn family crypt. MJ is given an earpiece as she tells Norman now all she has to do is give a commanding performance as someone who isn't scared. Norman reassures her no harm will come to her, but MJ doesn't take the Green Goblin's word to heart. MJ tells Norman that it would be easier to take his word if he wasn't responsible for deaths of those she loved. Norman tries to apologize, but MJ cuts him off, telling him he doesn't get to do that, and the only reason she's doing this is because Peter is in danger, and Harry, despite what he's done, is her friend, and she wants to help him since whatever he's become is thanks to what Norman did to the man. So she doesn't buy for a second that he has had a change of heart. She says that Peter's many villains are all people who think putting on a costume will make the world scared of them and hide their failures, but it's not like that with Norman, who's always been the monster and is putting on a show as Norman since the Goblin is the real Norman. Kindred meanwhile knows that it's so nice to see MJ again and getting the gang all back together, telling Peter to get into the spirit of this surprise party for once. He knows Peter can cry and beg, but it won't make a difference, and besides, MJ isn't the only one there as the Spider family confronts Sin Eater above, who reveals that he did indeed get what he always wanted, but then it was taken away from him, and now he's come back to reclaim the sins that were ripped from him. Spider-Woman realizes the sins that possessed them were Sin Eaters, who can smell them still on the heroes despite them no longer being possessed. The family attack, but Stanley manages to grab Spider-Woman, absorbing the sin within her and getting stronger, but Spider-Girl and Miles attack him, freeing Jessica and rescuing her. Jessica tells Miles that Sin Eater absorbs the powers of those he cleanses, and she recognizes the power he is wielding as that of Morlans. The family continue to battle the villain, but they are easily bested by the powered Sin Eater, as Kindred notes that the family really do try and follow Spider-Man's lead, fighting with everything they have, and while he is supposed to be impressed by that, he knows it just makes things worse. The family know that they need a new plan of attack, since Sin Eater isn't going down. Gwen wishes they could see the future and sort this out, but Madam Web tells her to be careful what she wishes for, since her visions aren't always right and she can misunderstand them. Julia approaches Sin Eater, telling him to let Miles go and he can have what he wants. Gwen calls for her to stop, but it's too late as Sin Eater shoots Madam Web, taking her power. The power is absorbed into Stanley, who begins to see the horrible future, causing the family to see it as well. Jessica knows the villain is finally learning the truth, knowing Kindred lied to him, seeing him for the devil he really is. Unable to cope with everything, Sin Eater turns his gun on himself, killing himself and freeing all of the power. With his power freed, Madam Web returns to life as Sin Eater's centipedes come for the family, taking them underground, telling them that they are too late to escape. Norman meanwhile meets with some of the soldiers arriving as well as their leader, telling them that it's on MJ now. The man says that he hopes this works, and Norman reassures him that it will, knowing Mary Jane has no idea what's about to happen and perhaps it will end badly. Norman wonders why the man cares, since the trap is set and soon they can punish Kindred, but he needs to remember, Norman gets the villain first. The man, revealed to be Wilson Fisk, says that he wants to finish the villain, knowing at last Kindred will be theirs.